This is Michigan's retirement coach, Mike Douglas.
And I'm Heather Branch here with Mike, talking about the things you can be working on now in effort to better prepare for your financial future. LifePlanWealth.com. That is where you can go to begin your own conversation with Mike and his team. Again, it's LifePlanWealth.com. Meanwhile, I am guessing since it's not yet Father's Day, I'm going to be the first to wish you happy Father's Day.
You are the first. Thank you very much.
Do you know what your family has planned for the Father's Day holiday that will be?
Well, every Father's Day or Mother's Day holiday has nothing to do with us as long as you have grandparents in the picture. So it's about my parents or her parents.
That's right.
So it has nothing to do with me.
Now, wait a minute. You guys just went on a big trip where all four of your parents went. At
different times. So my parents came with us to Hawaii for a week for their 50th wedding anniversary. The second week, it was Kimberly's parents' 40th wedding anniversary.
Really?
Yeah.
That works out.
Yeah. And so it was their week and then their week, and it was great.
And then the circus that is you and your four children and your wife.
Yeah. To think that 6 of us wasn't enough, we thought, let's add some more people, get a 15-passenger van, and just take the show on the road.
I feel like, though, Hawaii, the trek to get out there is so treacherous. If you're going to do it, go do it all the way like you guys did.
That was our thought. It's like once you commit a day each way to travel, and a 6-hour time difference, just go. Just move there, and then come back when you're done. That's basically what we did. If you
could pick up the house and put it on the island, and probably you almost kind of did with everything you had to pack, I'm sure.
We bought 2 suitcases while we were there.
Really?
We knew we needed some. It was kind of built into the thought process, but we packed our suitcases completely full going there, and we each had one. And then coming back, Kimberly and I each had a second suitcase because of all the souvenirs, and nothing packs as clean on the way home.
It doesn't.
So
got it. Okay.
We had to take deflated basketballs so my kids could play basketball there. It was a whole production.
I see the look in your eyes.
Yeah,
You're still recovering.
I'm glad we did it.
I know.
It was hopefully a once-in-a-lifetime trip.
So thinking about the influence of fathers, the influence that your father had on you, and the influence you hope to have on your kids, and how it all relates to the work that you do. Because I think that what I appreciate about the business you're building, the work that you do, the idea of the financial planning, the retirement planning that's involved, to you, it's so much more than just helping folks figure out their money. It's about this huge holistic approach to the planning process. And I believe that it has truly, the foundation of your approach to it is because of the upbringing that you had, the military family that you were raised in, all of the expectations and lessons that were learned in that process. You're not the only one. We're gonna loop in one of our favorite. Isn't David Letterman the guy that does his Netflix show is My Next Guest Needs No Introduction?
Yes.
And I think that we can confidently say that about Tim Tebow. When we say Tim Tebow, the man needs no introduction. But we recently actually heard from him about who his biggest mentor has been in his life. And this was Mr. Tebow's response to that question.
My dad. I don't think that's really hard. It's easy, and it's not even really because of what my dad said to me. It's how he lived in front of me. My dad has spent his entire adult life helping people that could never do anything for him. And he's never asked for anything in return. It's not why he did it.
Well, I think case in point right there, it goes to show how his dad influenced his life based on what we see, the life we see Tim Tebow living. And that goes back to, you can relate to the words that he just spoke, can't you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you grow up in a military family, you're living in, my first 4 homes were military bases, trailer parks, or apartments. Because until my dad officially retired from the Army, we never bought a home because what was the point? You're going to move again.
Right.
So then once my dad retired, I was thinking, all right, great. Now he'll go get a regular job and make good money. And he didn't. He retired and moved across the hallway to work for the Department of Defense, making basically the same money, but serving his country, something he's very proud of, something we're all very proud of. And he even got to the point where he still works for them, and he is the top computer specialist for the Army for the state of Michigan. He's got a great job, but if he went private sector, he could make 3 times the money.
Sure.
But he loves what he does, and he loves the fact that he gets to serve his country. And he's a lifer. And so that's a really cool thing. And there's been so many lessons you learn along the way that I'm hoping to continue to instill, whether it's the exact same quotes that I heard as a kid that my kids get stuck hearing all the time now, do it right, do it once, or if you get it wrong, get it right now. All these quotes. I remember even just getting up and seeing my dad. If I ever would wake up early, you could always count on, if you went to our living room, my dad had this roll top desk and, the kind that goes like, shh, when it goes up and all the way back down. And he was a recruiter back in the 80s and 90s. And back then, recruiters had no hours restrictions. He would work Mondays from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. He would work long days, Tuesday through Friday, and he'd work 2 Saturdays a month.
Wow.
And so he was a worker.
Yeah.
But every morning, if I was awake, he was awake at 6 a.m. out there reading his Bible at his roll-top desk. And then he'd finish, close it, come wake us up, make us breakfast. He was active and he was very engaged. And then I didn't appreciate a lot of the stuff until now I have to do some of it. Like he would come home and still go outside and throw the baseball with me until his arm was ready to fall off. And now I come home after a less work day than my dad did. And my kids are like, let's go out and play baseball. I'm like, I'm tired. I'm like, I don't have any excuses.
Yep.
My dad did it. So all those things, there's quotes that your kids watch you more than they listen to you. And so the idea being that they see what you do, they see who you are. And if what you say lines up with who you are and what they see, then they believe you. If it doesn't line up, they will watch you more than they'll listen to you. And so with that being the case, it's like trying to live up to the standards my dad set of just consistency, excellence, being an incredible husband, incredible father, all those things he's done. I mean, he still to this day opens the car door for my mom. He will do everything and anything to dote on her. And they just had they're having their 50th wedding anniversary. So those are all lessons that I don't ever once remember him telling me, you have to open the door. I just have known forever you open the door.
Yeah.
It's what you do. You walk on the street side and your wife walks on the inside. And my kids walk on the inside as I walk on the outside. You sleep closer to the door. All these little things that just like you've picked up over
my
lives.
husband does not sleep closer to the door. I sleep closer to the bedroom door, and I'm going to go.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
I didn't know that was a thing. It's just my side of the bed. It's just how it worked out.
And even when we go on vacation, wherever we go, I just sleep closer to the door because that's my job. Because if someone breaks in, I have to be the one to go deal with it, right? And so, or if the kids wake up in the middle of the night, I have to be the one to go deal with it. Like that's just the rule. So those are just things you pick up.
Thinking about then how your dad has influenced, I mean, obviously he's had a huge influence on how you are with your family and your wife personally, but thinking about the business that you run and the perhaps financial lessons you've learned from your dad throughout the years. We actually had a long conversation about your very first business and your lawn mowing business that he helped you figure out. You can go back and listen to that podcast. It's called Creativity, Integrity, Quality, and hear more about that story about your first business that you did with your dad. You can even reference that again here if you want to in that conversation. But thinking about the work that you do, how you're helping folks transition into a new phase of their financial life, the financial lessons your dad taught you, and how you apply that to the work that you do now. What are those stories? Yeah.
Well, with the lawn mowing one, I was 9 years old. And so at 9 years old, you don't know anything from anything. Sure. Unless you're Tim Tebow training in the middle of the night, right? That's it.
Yeah.
But so what I did was when I wanted to mow lawns, he basically said there's 3 rules. The first rule is mow straight lines. The second rule is don't miss any spots. The third rule is don't blow any grass in the mulch or against the house. And then eventually I learned the fourth rule, which is if you get it wrong, you got to make it right now. Those apply to everything. Now, even in our financial business, it's about creativity, integrity, and quality. So we don't mow straight lines, but we make sure that we build insanely creative plans that make sense to who you are. Who cares what your neighbor has? It's about you and your family. So it's creative for you because your family's going to be different than my family. It's going to be different than anybody you come across. If we sit in a room at a college workshop or a dinner seminar or anybody else who calls in or listens to this podcast, your life is individual and different. So why would we use a cookie cutter plan from somebody else when your family's got different goals? So the first rule for us is creativity. Be creative and be intentional. The second one is have integrity. If you say you're going to do it, do it. If you don't do it on accident, get it right and go fix it. Say you missed it and then go do it. And then the last one is quality. Anything you bring to the table, whether it's your work, your product, your services, bring quality. And if you have creativity, integrity, and quality, those are the 3 rules we have for Life Plan Financial. And then the big underlying one, which is that fourth one that everybody in the world seems to have a problem with now, is if you get it wrong, make it right now. Say, I'm sorry, look them in the eye, shake their hand and say, I'm sorry, I screwed up. Let me fix it for you. There's a study that came out that said if you look for client retention, the best thing you can do for client retention, as actually in a retail space study, but they said that 93% of the time, if you acknowledge a mistake, you will keep the client versus the average client will stay with you 70% of the time if you never make a mistake. So it's interesting. You're more likely to retain a client if you screw up and acknowledge it than if you never screwed up. Because why? Well, people like it when you own it. People like it when you say, no, I'm not nobody's perfect. Amazon's not perfect. The postal service isn't perfect. Like, how many times do our deliveries get screwed up, or, they leave it out in the rain and it's like, oh man, that stinks. And Amazon's like, I know it does stink. You can take it back and we'll immediately take it back. No questions asked. How great is that? So if you have a policy and a belief system that says when we get it wrong, we're just going to make it right, acknowledge it, own it, and make it right now.
I have to believe that a big reason for that, aside from where you come from, the lessons you've learned from your dad, it's because this is what separates you from other financial and retirement planners in Michigan and across the United States. People have come to you and they said, this happened at this other place, or we haven't had this kind of service, and we're coming to you because we've heard you speak to these things.
Yeah, that's people's biggest frustration with like big box firms or stores.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than being on the other end of an 800 number. You wait forever, and then they talk to you and say, I can't give you help. I can't help you with taxes. Why? Well, because that's not what we do here. And then you're just an account number. You never talk to the same person twice. Those are all frustrations. And then even worse is when you say, well, I really want to do this. They're like, sorry, the market lost money last year, so you're out. And then there's no reconciling that. Mm-hmm. It's your life that changes because someone on the other end of an 800 number screwed up, and they won't even acknowledge it. So when we sit down, people, they say, I'm just tired of being an account number. I want to be able to look someone in the eye and have an adult conversation with them and just go through and build a life together. And when you're working with professional services, whether it's your estate planning attorney, your CPA, your doctor, your financial advisor, you're building a life together. The whole goal is to have someone who sees you through your retirement, someone who sees you through your dreams. We work so we can one day have a dream come true, and that's to travel, to spend time with our kids, to see the world, whatever it is. Other people just say, I just want to retire and become a hermit, move up north, or do whatever. That's fine. The goal is to have a professional service person who sees you through it and makes you live out that life. And so as you're doing those things, you need that connection, and you can't get that without honesty and transparency and creativity, integrity, and quality. So that's why when you're building out these plans, it starts with a conversation.
Okay.
You have to have someone who's willing to sit down across from you and just hear your story. Mm-hmm. When people come into us, they come from radio, TV, dinner workshop, seminars. But most of the time what they do is they just go to our website. It's lifeplanwealth.com. Mm-hmm. Right on there, there's a thing that says, let's start your retirement journey. You click a button, you put in your name and email or name and phone number. It's very minimal, but it just says, hey, we want to talk. And we give you a call. We reach out and say, let's have coffee. You come in and we chat for 45 minutes and just hear what you want life to look like and see where you sit. It's an easy process. It's lifeplanwealth.com. But at the end of the day, it's just that starting of a conversation with a real person sitting across from you.
Yeah. Whether you are getting close to retirement, whether you are already retired, whether you have worked with a financial advisor before and you want a second opinion, all of these things are what Mike and his team at Life Plan Financial Design are here to help you figure out in a plan of your own, sitting down with you, having these conversations with a real person, not just a 1-800 number like you were pointing out. That is what Mike and his team are here to help you figure out and get answers to your questions. And again, you can get started today. Just visit us, lifeplanwealth.com.
Thanks for listening to Michigan's Retirement Coach with Mike Douglas. To learn more, visit lifeplanwealth.com.
Michael Douglas is an investment advisor representative of Stewards Wealth Planning, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Michael Douglas is licensed in your state, please call 517-323-7526. Stewards Wealth Planning, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Michael B. Douglas, NPN number 9650939.